There's a lot to unpack with what this series and what the reality of the Thunder winning means. Because I think from a Sixers perspective, you can look at this one of two ways. And I'm curious which way you come down on this. All right, so there's the one side of it, which is the East is wide open next year, right? Halliburton got hurt and tore his Achilles last night. He's probably not going to play next season or might not play till the end of next season. So that's that. Jason Tatum tore his Achilles 2 rounds ago. Same situation for him next year for the Boston Celtics. Dame Lillard tore his Achilles, which is just a strange, crazy coincidence. All 3 of those guys tore their Achilles in the postseason. So you have 3 of the top players in the conference on 3 of the top teams in the conference. One of their best players, if not their best player, out for pretty much all next season. I mean, there could be a school of thought inside the Sixers, offices right down the road that, hey, we should try to run it back and go for it and add players in the draft and in free agency that help us win next year. That's school of thought number 1. School of thought number 2 is, look at what the Thunder just did. With the youngest team in the league, that's how you build a champion, and we got to think big picture on this. Here, which side of the coin did you think about when you saw what happened last night? Hey, the East is wide open next year, or hey, it's the Thunder won the title by building a young, deep team?
That was a thought, because it don't feel like too long ago that a lot of people felt the way to build a team was to build a super team.
Yep.
Try to get as many good players as you possibly can.
Specifically veterans.
Well, yeah, veteran guys, and build that way. It takes a little bit of time, but when you look at OKC, you look at Boston, I'd even throw the Knicks in there for the most part. Like, teams are not going to the big 3, if you will, anymore. They're taking their time and they're getting the right pieces and they're building it the right way. OKC was one of the better teams all year long.
Well, they were the best team all year long.
Well, yeah. And so much so that Charles Barkley pointed it out. He was saying, nobody wants to talk about them because they're not the niche team. They're not one of the legacy programs or whatever. So, yeah, I think that's the way you do things. And the tough thing about that is when we talk about the Sixers and where we are with this team, Daryl Morey is the leader. And I know that there's a lot of people that feel like, his track record speaks for itself. But since I've been here, he's had a lot of missteps. He's had quite a few. And I understand that, you talk about the longevity and how long he's been around, and he's a good basketball guy. But when you look at the way that he's built the team here or tried to build a team here, still ain't gave you no reason why he gave Joel Embiid all that money with that bad will that he had, and we don't know what we're going to get from Joel Embiid. So I'm more of the mindset of building this with the young cats.
I agree with you on this. Let me say it this way, because I know I saw the same thing everyone else did last night. Halliburton goes down. It's unfortunate. I felt bad for him. He's going to miss next season, right? That takes the Pacers from what they were this year, and it obviously makes them a lesser team next year. The same thing with the Celtics without Jason Tatum, and we know the Dame Lillard and the Bucks. I hope the Sixers avoid the trap of trying to go win the title next year. Mm-hmm. The best way the Sixers can win a championship is to stop trying to win a championship. If they go all in on Embiid and George again, I mean, come on, guys. It's not going to work. It's not. Like, I understand. It's going to work for someone in the East, right? It is open next year. I'm not disputing that. It obviously, those injuries create that. It would not be smart by the Sixers to, I'll just use it for Wednesday night. Because they could pick a whole bunch of different players. If they take a player that is more ready to win next year but is not the right fit down the line, what are we doing? It can't just be for next year. It can't be.
It kind of has to be.
No.
So, look, the whole injury thing, the Halliburton thing last night, the Dame Lillard thing, not that the Bucks were like at the top of the East.
But they're a good team.
The uncertainty with Giannis, and then Jason Tatum, like you said it, the East is wide open. It's just the Knicks right now.
Yes.
And not that I have any grand delusions of having all this confidence in the Sixers right now and Joel Embiid and Paul George, but if they are to move off of those two, they're probably going to have to sacrifice some of their future to do that anyway. Like they might have to give up picks just to get off of these guys.
They could.
They're probably stuck with that next year.
Yeah.
Like they don't have a choice but to go try and capitalize on a wide open East next year. I think it's perfectly set up for Daryl Morey to tell us and to convince himself that there's just one more year of trying with this thing.
I know, but they're not as good as Cleveland. They're not probably as good as or as I don't even know that they're good as Tobias Harris Pistons from this past year who took the Knicks. We got to stop thinking small picture. We got to think big picture with the Sixers. Last night, I think you're right on this, Hugh. The takeaway is not that the Pacers are banged up for next year. The takeaway is, how did the Thunder win the title? The Thunder won the title by drafting and developing young players. That's it. I mean, the next Sixers championship team is not led by George and Embiid. It's not.
But the Thunder didn't look like this dominant. I get they were good in the regular season.
They win 68 games.
I know, but they looked so beatable in the postseason. That was such like an easy path for the Pacers and them to get to the NBA Finals and win it.
It was, but I don't think it was an accident.
It doesn't feel like it's so like jammed up at the top that the Sixers couldn't break through.
No, I know, but
it's the Sixers part that's bugging you. I get it.
It's the Sixers.
Of course,
yeah,
I understand that. But I'm not looking at the top of the NBA right now and being like, wow, how are we going to take down the Oklahoma City Thunder next year?
Oh, I mean, the Sixers don't have a chance against the Thunder.
Well, they didn't this year. That was obvious.
They wouldn't next year either. You think Joel Embiid could play in that series? 7 games up and down the court against that swarming defense?
The second round.
I know. I think there could be a thing in the back of Morey's head, like, hey, it's open, it's wide open, and I just hope he avoids that and picks the right young player. And like their eyes should be on 3 years from now, 2-3 years from now.
Yeah.
Maxey, Jared McCain, and the kid they take it through. Yeah, that's it.
I think that's the way to do it. And I think that when you talk about Maxey, emerging, the way that he has, Jared McCain, before he got hurt, looked like he was going to be a player.
And then this third pick.
Yeah, that's the route you need to go so that you let these young cats grow together and you can be competitive that way. That's the formula now. I think that the fans, for the most part, if you do it that way and if you build it the right way, they'll be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be a different kind of interest and excitement for the team if they go through 2 or 3 years where they're not going into seasons thinking they're going to win a title. But there'll certainly be less disappointment at the end because the last 6 or 7 years have been a lot of excitement and hype, and they don't deliver on it. 215-592-9494. You could chime in on the end of the finals and how you think it affects the Sixers here. I just hope they don't try to hey, we could. Halliburton's hurt. The East is open, and it
is open,
but that's not for them. It's not for them. Do you think the Sixers?
Hold on. Did you think the East was open for the Pacers this year?
I did not.
Okay,
right, but the Pacers have players that are at least like Halliburton.
They set into the form. They're the formula that we're talking about. When you talk about young team, young players, and trying to build it the right way, they fall into that.
I just don't want to chase maybes. I want to chase.
Yeah.
I want to chase.
But that's what everyone's doing. Like, wasn't it just last year you were saying not even worth trying? The Celtics are at the top of the East, and granted, for the Sixers,
it wasn't
worth it. But for everyone else, it was.
I know. Well, the interesting part is this is the 7th different champion in 7 years in the NBA.
That's a beautiful thing, though.
It is actually embarrassing. Like if I told you this 7 years ago. And then said to you the Sixers would come nowhere close, you would say, come on, Joe, that you'd be being pessimistic. That's exactly what happened. 7 different champions in 7 years, and the Sixers somehow didn't come close with all the assets they had back in the day. I don't know. I mean, I did say this last year about the Celtics. It does feel like the Thunder are set up to be really good for a really long time.
That's what we thought about Boston
I don't know
year.
if anyone's been set up like the Thunder. Though, but they have all these picks the next couple years.
Okay, but things change.
Yeah, and the Sixers are going to change. Joel Embiid's going to change. Paul George's not going to be a loser. No, you're not convincing me on this.